Hey, good evening and welcome to my online SHSAT math course. I'm offering my course that I wrote for tutoring houses um, here online by donation. The recommended donation is $50 per lesson. And I'll provide for you the links to the quizzes, classworks, and homeworks. This is a successful course that has seen middle school students receive acceptance letters into specialized high school achievement test schools. I myself went to the Bronx High School of Science and was a four-year graduate. I participated on the math team and the math competitions. And just a little bit about me. I then went to completed a Bachelor of Mathematics, Bachelor of Arts at City College of New York. I double majored there, so I also completed a Jewish Studies Bachelor of Arts. And then I was accepted into Columbia University Teachers College, where I completed the coursework and graduated with a Master's of Arts in Math Education in 2012. So since 2012, I've been spending, I worked for public schools in the city here for 5 years, as well as Catholic schools, private schools, as a math teacher and tutor and instructor, also as a SAVE teacher and administrator for schools. My big projects the last 10 years have been these two classes, the SHSAT math course, as well as a full SAT math course. Again, I was not a curriculum major. I was a classroom teacher, but it's a big need at tutoring houses to have new curriculum that's aligned with the SHSAT exam and the SAT exam. So welcome tonight if you're joining me. Remember, this is being recorded, so I will share this recording on my YouTube channel for purposes of promoting the course. Again, I'm doing this for myself to further develop the course as I get the lessons copyrighted and possibly get the book published. But at this point, with the success rate of both the SHSAT and SAT classes improving student scores post-COVID, I'm proud to share them as a service to the community. So welcome. I'm going to give a few more moments of grace time to see if anyone else shows up tonight. It's already 7:05 p.m. on tonight, September 13th, 2023. But welcome, and then we'll begin with the first lesson from my SHSAT class. Okay, so let's continue now with the SHSAT math course online, and I'd like to introduce you to the exam itself. The SHSAT math portion of the exam has an overview of the following sections. The math focuses on the following topics for middle school students. It includes questions on algebra, geometry, coordinate planes, charts and graphs, probability and statistics, and a few other math topics. Most of these topics are related to, say, the math contests for middle school offered by the city of New York, such as the AMC contests, or contests that are participated in local middle school math team competitions. So as another resource, if your child is getting ready for the SHSAT, it's good to try problem sets from the AMC grade 8 contests, or approach your school or a school in your neighborhood that has a math team in middle school and use those worksheet resources to get ready for these problems, because of the 57 problems, about half of them are problem solving questions where they're testing lessons from several different topics like geometry and algebra at the same time, or the coordinate plane, and it could be a word problem with the coordinate plane. So they're a little bit more multi-lesson in their design. The other thing is they have problems on number patterns and number theory that a lot of teachers don't teach in normal math classes. Also, logic questions. The exam itself is 150 minutes in its current form. The SHSAT math section is 75 minutes total with 57 questions. 5 of the questions are grid-in questions, and 52 of the questions are multiple choice, where the student has to bubble in one of the multiple choice selections for the 52 questions. Here's the first page of my first SHSAT math lesson number 1, and it focuses on this idea of sets of numbers, of the numbers that we work with in mathematics for this exam. The course itself is designed to help you prepare for the Specialized High School Achievement Test, which is given out annually in the fall to New York City students. This is a merit-based test, and each of the schools has a qualifying score. If you answer enough of the problems correctly, you will receive a letter of acceptance to attend one of the specialized high schools in the 5 boroughs. The test includes problems that are not often taught within the traditional middle school setting. It is good to be exposed to the problem-solving questions in mathematics that are a large part of the SHSAT test. These are the questions that often target several mathematical skills from your learning and bridge several units from your education. You have to think beyond the classroom. Welcome to SHSAT preparation class. Well, before we get to the lesson, and I'll share a few slides focusing on these number sets, for example, that you need to have be aware of how to do your basic operations with these different symbols. It's good to know that when you prepare for a standardized test such as this, the SHSAT or the SAT, it's good for you to have for your child a checklist of topics so that she or he is exposed to the topics that will specifically be on the exam. Here's the longest course that I wrote in my current 9 years tutoring in Brooklyn at private tutoring houses. This is my 33 lesson course. And you can see that it starts with about 10 lessons of algebra, and then number patterns. After lesson 13, the algebra review. It continues with geometry lessons, including area and volume, the Pythagorean theorem, angle relationships, the coordinate plane. And then it ends with lessons on charts and graphs, pie charts, box and whisker and two-way tables, and probability. Then, after going through all of the topics that are on the SHSAT, specifically algebra, geometry, and charts and graphs, it then continues with review lessons for the last 6 weeks, which use the old exams of the SHSAT with a focus of 30 questions each in algebra, geometry, and charts and graphs and probability. So what's good about going through a course like this for a child for a standardized test that's taken by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of students here in the New York City area, is that your child can say, oh, well, we weren't taught scientific notation by our teacher, or our teacher didn't ever tell us what the Pythagorean theorem was. Well, your child has an advantage on answering more of these 57 questions because they've done worksheets on these topics, such as scientific notation, the Pythagorean theorem, problems with angle relationships and compositions, problems with area compositions, as well as two-way tables, which are often not part of middle school curriculum. So again, by getting organized and seeing which areas your child has proficiency in and which areas your child needs just a few extra worksheets for, you can also manage your time a lot more wisely as you get ready for this most difficult middle school exam. The SHSAT, as well as is just one of many high school placement exams, but it is considered one of the most difficult here in the New York City area. So when we get started, we're going to look at these topics, just as I read before, on these number sets. But before we do, if you attend a class such as my SHSAT class, it is a workshop model, and we begin each class with a 10-minute SHSAT warm-up quiz. I've designed all of the quizzes for my class that students sit down and try as they arrive for our 90-minute class with two easy level, two mid-level, and one challenge level problem that are on a one-page worksheet. So you can see here at JW2542 tutoring, your child would sit and do, there's a problem here on greatest common factor, plug-in with two variables, multivariable plug-in, a word problem that's algebra, a double inequality, and it ends with another word problem for their 10-minute warm-up. Children then focus on their mental file cabinet of various math skills that they have and can go through the lesson set for various easy, mid, and challenge level problems, and then scale up their abilities as they go through the course as well. So what I'd like for you to do now is give it a try. What I'll do is I'll put in the chat window the link for SHSAT quiz number 1. So if you're here participating tonight, I'll post that blue link here in the chat window in just a moment. Okay, I noticed on the recording that the overlays were not shown, but I do have this specific quiz ready. Quiz number 1. Give me just a minute here. So here's the short link to SHSAT math quiz number 1, and these 5 questions for the specialized high school achievement tests. So as you can see, I've placed the shortened link form. It says HTTP forms Google here in the chat window. And if you click on this blue form link, it will open up to a sample quiz. I'll actually click on the link. I don't know if you can see the window in the recording. So I'll click on that blue link. And yes, it opens up to the practice quiz. So you now have 10 minutes for these 5 practice questions. Please begin, and good luck on SHSAT quiz number 1. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Again, if you just joined us, you can you can excuse me, use the link in the chat window. Hello? You can use the link in the chat window for the quiz. You still have 5 minutes remaining using the Google form link for SHSAT quiz number 1. Thank you. All right. Okay. All right, that is time for tonight's quiz warm-up of 10 minutes. You can see SHSAT quiz number 1, 5 questions and 10 minutes. But before we go to the rest of the slideshow, I'm just going to refresh, make sure that we have all of the current slides needed. And what we'll do is so what you need to do now is finish the problem that you're working on and take a break. Make sure you've bubbled in your answers for all 5 questions on the quiz number 1. If you then click the blue button at the bottom of the form, it should auto grade for you, and you should get a score between 0 and 5 on SHSAT quiz number 1. All right, so let's quickly go over the 5 questions, and I'll read for you the questions, and then we'll do a solution for each question that should be in under 1 minute. Question 1 reads, what is the greatest common factor of 98 and 224? The GCF is the largest number that divides both. What we have here is we have the number 98, which you should see on the screen here. And what I'll do is I'll split that into, well, it's even, so that's going to be 2 times 49. 2 is a prime number, so I'll circle it at the end of that branch. But 49 is not prime. In fact, it's 7 times 7. So the tree of factors, of prime factors for 98 is are those factors. In fact, 98 is the only number that is exactly 2 times 2 times 2 times 7 times 7. So what we'll do is we'll then do the factor tree for the other number, which I'll put over here, and that was 224. So writing that one out, and again, I'll use a different colored pen. 224 is also even. So I know that that's 2 and 112. And then 2 is a prime. Well, 112 is also even. Let's see, that's 56. And I happen to know that 56 is 8 times 7. And 7 is a prime, so we can circle that one. But 8 is 4 times 2. And 4 is 2 times 2. So 224 has a lot of 2s. It's 2 to the 5th power times 7. So 32 times 7. But we'll write it out as 224 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. So now looking at what they have in common, what we're going to do is I'll highlight in green. Let's see, they have a 2 in common, and they have 1 7 in common here. And we can see that that's the correct solution. It has to be on both prime factor lists, 2 and 7. So 2 times 7 will be the GCF, which is 14. So the largest number that evenly divides both 98 and 224 is D, 14. So if you got that correct, make sure you bubbled in choice D, like delightful, and done. Okay, that was question number 1. For question number 2, it says, what is a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared? And if you are a high school student or parent, you might recognize this as the sum or difference of cubed formulas, one of the SOAP formulas. But here we go. We're going to plug in 15 minus 3. Wherever we see a, we'll put in the number 15. And wherever we see variable b, we'll put in the number 3. So 15 minus 3 will be 12. 15 squared plus 15 times 3 plus 3 squared. Okay, now I went a little fast there, but again, I'll use my highlighter tool here, which is very handy, just to make sure that I have each element in place correctly for A. And also I'll use a different color for B. 3 squared. And then when we simplify these numbers, you see that it's 12 times 225 plus 45 is 279. So what we have to do is now we have to do 12 times 279. Okay, well, if we distribute, we can do 12 times 200, 12 times 70, and 12 times 9. 12 times 200 is 2,400. 12 times 7 is 84. Make sure you add the 0 because we're multiplying it onto the tens. And 12 times 9 is 108. Adding those together, looks like we have 3,348, and the correct answer is A. For question number 2. Question number 3. A bicycle rider moves at a rate of 440 feet per minute. How much time does it take for the bicycle to travel 2 miles? For this problem, I'll put 440 feet. I'll just use the abbreviation, and that's 1 minute. But what we want to do is we want to use a set of conversion fractions so that we can see how much time it takes for the bicycle rider to travel in miles. Okay. So we want to convert feet to miles. I do know that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. And if you set up the fraction this way, you can see that feet will cancel feet, and now we'll have the measurement in miles per minute. 440 over 5,280. Okay, so I just said 440 times 1 and 1 times 5,280. Cross off the zeros. They're both even. So it looks like that's 22 miles in 264 minutes. Reducing that, we get 11 miles in 132 minutes. And we want to compare that to 2 miles in X minutes. So after reducing the fraction as much as possible, I have the ratio 11 miles in 132 minutes. And we can now set up the proportion here. 11 over 132 is 2 upon X. Next thing we can do is we can cross multiply, and we'll get 11X equals 264. 11 x equals 264. And I guess it works out. Yeah, 11, 264, 222 is 24. And the correct answer is C. For the bicyclist to travel 2 miles, it would take at this rate, it would take them 20. It would take him or her 24 minutes to complete 2 miles. Question number 4. Assume A is an odd integer with A between 11 and 19. 11 is less than A is less than 19. B is an even integer with 6 less than or equal to B less than or equal to 12. What's a possible value for A times B? All right, this is a bit of an unusual question the way it's written. But if we look at A is odd. Well, it can't be 11 because A is bigger than A. So it can be 13, 15, or 17. But A can't be 19 because A has to be less than 19 in an odd integer. So there's only 3 possibilities for A. Similarly with variable B, well, B is on the interval between 6 and 12 on the number line. 6, 8, 10, 12. And there are 4 possibilities for B. So then what we want to do is, now that we have the actual elements that are possible, there's 3 possible number choices for A and 4 possible number choices for B. Well, we want to quickly see as fast as we can, well, which of these could be AB? So we have, we could work backwards. I guess we could do the factor tree for 66, 85, 100. But I guess just as fast would be to actually, let's make a like a quick array. Can I do that? Can I make like a big box here? And then we'll put A on the top column and then B like so. There's only, well, here I'll do it this way. A could be 13, 15, or 17. And this is A along this side. And B could be 6, 8, 10, or 12. Well, it's super easy to do the tens column. So I'll just multiply them. 130 into that rectangle, 150, and 170. So it says that's none of the choices. So we can see here that none of these are a match or correct answer. What would be easiest to do next? Let's see. Can we multiply by 12? I think that it's easy to multiply by 12. But do we need to? I mean, if we have 12 times 13, then that will be bigger than 130. But look, all the answer choices, the largest answer choice is 108. So I would say it's a time saver. This is too big. This is too big, right? Because 150 is great. 130 is bigger than 108 in the largest answer choice. So we can eliminate those. This will also be too big on the 12 times table. So it's got to be one of these 6 combinations. You get what I'm saying? All right, so then you can quickly multiply these products, I guess. 6 times 13 is 78. 6 times 15 is the same as 3 30s or 90. 6 times 17, well, that's 2 more 6s, so 102. Right? And then let's see, 8 times 13, 80 plus 20 is 104. And then if I get 2 more 8s, it's times 15, that's 120. And then 2 more 8s, that's 136. Okay, so I hope that I didn't go too fast there. But then those are the 6 possible numbers. And if you look carefully, you can eliminate all of the other choices except for this one. 8 times 13 is 104, is one of the products for A being an odd number between 13 and 13, 15, or 17, and B being an even number. So the correct answer was D. So a little different, more of a puzzle, But if you look at the what's possible for the choices for A and B, there's only there's just 3 choices for A and just 4 for B. And there's the multiplication array, which you don't have to do all 12 of the products. Once you see that looking at the times 10, all those will be too big. And that would be question number 4 was D104. Last one for today, for SHSAT level problems, is the challenge problem. If Bob recycles his bottles and cans, he earns 5 cents per item because he lives in New York. Mary recycles her bottles and cans. She can earn 10 cents per item because she lives in California. Last week, Bob recycled 48 bottles and 50 cans, and Mary recycled 24 bottles and 60 cans. How much more did Mary earn from her recycling than Bob? Well, let's give them separate. Let's make like a clipboard chart. Here's Bob and here's Mary. And Bob recycled 48 bottles and 50 cans for a total of 98 items. And Mary recycled 24 bottles and 60 cans for a total of 84 items. Okay, and I'll use blue for boy and blue for Bob. It's 98. And I'll use Mary. I'll just use this raspberry red or pink, and it's 84 items. But remember, Bob lives in New York, and in New York we only get 5 cents per 5 cents, right? So we can do that times 5. Mary lives in California, so that's times 10. It's easy to figure out how much Mary's going to earn. She's going to earn 840 cents. $8.40. A little harder is Bob, but since 98 is even, I'm going to rewrite that as 2 times 49 times 5. And then 2 times 5 is 10. So 49 times 10, haha, is $4.90. 5, 6, 7, 90. That's $3.50. So Mary in California earns $3.50 more. And that was question number 5. A little bit challenging if you're not reading carefully. It's easy to make a step error, but there it is. By collecting 84 items, Mary still earns an extra $3.50. Okay. All right, so there's an example of what we actually do in course in the class. We'll go over the problems together. We'll the easy, mid, and challenge level ones. Often on the quiz, we'll have students and they're like 90% correct on the first 3. So we don't spend that much class time going over the quizzes. We usually spend about 5 minutes going over questions 4 or 5, or both 4 and 5, usually, as you get ready for the SHSAT. So these quizzes, being an educator, you want students to get at least 3 out of 5. So you want to work within their zone of abilities. And most students in 8th grade are familiar with greatest common factor, with plugging in values for variables and converting units and reading through word problems. Now we're going to review the actual lesson number 1. And let me go back here to the introductory slides. And students also get a 2 to 4 page mini lesson for each lesson that they can read as they prepare for the class and the checklist topics. Here, our checklist topic was number sense, so we have to know about number patterns. So here are some of the number subsets from our infinite number world that you should be familiar with for this exam. Starting with number sets, you should be able to count with whole numbers. Counting numbers such as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 apples, or 1, 2, 3 trees. Those are whole numbers starting at 1, right? In fact, technically the term whole numbers means all of the counting numbers, including 0. So natural numbers, start at 1, but whole numbers are the natural numbers, including 0. So for whole numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I have a lunch bag, a brown lunch bag, and I look into the lunch bag and I say, oh, there's 3 apples in the lunch bag. That's a natural number. Or there could be 2 apples or 1 apple. But including the whole numbers means you look in the lunch bag and there's 0 apples is included. Integers were made for business. They're the whole numbers, which are the counting numbers plus 0, plus their opposites. So for example, if mom says, hey, we need 5 apples for the picnic, and you look in the bag and there are 3, then we need 2 more apples. In other words, the integer -2 could represent that problem there. We have 2 less apples than we need for our 5 apple total. Rational numbers are a ratio of 2 numbers that can be written as A to B, A is to B, or as a modern fraction, A over B. And there are a few examples on the right. Irrationals come from the side length of a square. So these areas that are not perfect squares, which you should know from middle school study, the square root of 1 is 1. A square of area 4, the square root is a side 2. But if we want a square with area 3, the side length would be irrational. So be familiar with that for this exam. Other symbols that are on these exams in middle and high school are things such as ln x, gamma of n, the exponential e, which is 2.718, or pi. For this exam of the 4, just highlight pi. That is the one that you should know for this exam. The 4th of the 4 there. 3.1415926535897, that one. But for most problems, it's sufficient, just like for all practical purposes, like an engineer, you can use the approximation 3.14 to get the correct answer in the geometry and word problems. There are other special subsets. There's subset problems on the exam, such as knowing positives and negatives. A positive times a positive is positive. A positive times a negative is negative. Right? A negative times a negative is a positive. And also the symbol for absolute value. Other problems focus on your knowledge of odd and even. So it's interesting to note that if you add 2 odd numbers, like 3 and 5, it's always even. 3 and 5 is 8. 7 and 9 is 16. 2 odd numbers add up to an even. Or some puzzles are, if you multiply 2 evens, you get an even. If you multiply 2 odds, you're always at an odd number. So exploring the using the numbers as odd and even. The next thing is that you should know are factors, like we did for the first problem with the GCF, and finding all the factors or numbers that divide a number, such as 24. And the way you do that, I'll quickly note this, your middle school teacher should have told you, is you start at 1 and you walk all the way up to the square root. Okay, so since we're testing 24, we can stop at 5, and I'll tell you why. 5 times 5 is 25, but we're testing something times something equals 24. So we only have to test the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. We don't even have to test 5. Because if you're looking for factor pairs, you can see that it's 1 times the larger number 24, 2 times 12, both of those go into 24, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. But 5 is not, it's not on the 5 times table. It goes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. When we go to 6, excuse me, it's not going to be a number that's on the right side of the rainbow, since the square root is less than 5. It has to be a number smaller than 5. 6 times 5 is 30. So it has to be 4, 3, 2, or 1. We don't need to test 7, because 7 times 3 is 21. It has to be, the other factor has to be less than 5. So it's sufficient just to test the numbers up to 5. You don't have to test all the numbers up to 24. Just test up to the square root. Okay. The next one is, again, like the problem that we did earlier with comparing the 2 factor trees for 98 and 224. Here's a prime factor tree for 60. Here, I saw that it was divisible by 4, 4, and 15. And then we have the unique prime composition for 60 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. Other words that you need to know for these problems to solve on the 57 questions are consecutive integers, integers in a row. consecutive evens, 2, 4, 6, 8, consecutive odds, 1, 3, 5, 7, and your times tables. Some problems want to know when there will be the line up. So for example, when do the multiples of 8 have, also there's a multiple of 14, and that first occurrence happens at 56 on both times tables. These come multiple problems. The other thing that's interesting is that to make your work shorter, because it's a timed exam, you should know a few of these shortcuts for like the divisibility rules. For example, if we have an unusual large number like here, we're given 63,558. We can see if it's divisible by most numbers from 1 to 10 pretty quickly. It's divisible by 2. Well, yes, because it's got an 8 at the end, and 8 is an even number. So that's the rule. The last digit is even. It's divisible by 3 if you add the digits together and it's on the 3 times table. So if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3, it's divisible by 3. If the last 2 digits are divisible by 4, then the number is divisible by 4. Here, be careful, it's not a multiple of 4 because 58 is not on the 4 times table, the last 2 digits. It has to end in a 5 or a 0 to be divisible by 5, so this number is not divisible by 5. It has to pass both the 2 and the 3 test for it to be divisible by 6. Why? Because 6 is 2 times 3, even and on the 3 times table. So it does pass that because it passed both of those conditions. We skipped divisible by 7. There you probably just divide. For 8, it says, well, the last 3 digits must be divisible by 8. And again, this number is not because 558 is not divisible by 8. The 3 check and the 9 check are the same. If you add the digits, they have to be on the 9 times table for 9, and 27 is also on the 9 times table. So it does pass for 9. And lastly, if it ends in a 0, it's divisible by 10, but this number is not divisible by 10. And a little more unusual, but a nice little algorithm to know, is if you want to know if a large number is divisible by 11, you start at the right, and then reading from right to left. Here, I'll write the flow arrow here. We're add and subtract the digits. So we have to do 8 minus 5 plus 5 minus 3 plus 6. This really works because we have a base 10 numeral system. We won't get into this until high school or college if you want to study numbers. 8 minus 5 is 3, plus 5 is to 8, minus 3 is 5, plus 6 is 11. And believe it or not, because 11 is on the 11 times table, this large number is divisible by 11. That's the algorithm for 11. So, very cool. This number is divisible by 2, 3, 6, 9, and 11. Following the test, it is not evenly divisible by, it's not divisible by 4, 5, 8, or 10 on our checklist here. Lastly, please know the PEMDAS rules. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally is a way of remembering that. I went to school in Chinatown at the legendary PS124. And in Chinatown in 5th grade, we'd say pandas eat mustard dumplings and applesauce instead. It's a Young Wing public school. It was the first Chinese American to go to an Ivy League. But that's a memory, that's a mnemonic device for knowing parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, and add and subtract. Okay, again, if you'd like a copy of this lesson, you can just email me or type in chat, and I'll make sure that you have it, but I won't go over this problem and how we simplify. Instead, since it's already 8 o'clock, what I'd like to do is give you guys the typical 20-minute independent practice like we do in class for lesson number 1. What we have here for classwork number 1, why did I say quiz? Let me fix that right now. I'm going to go back to the slideshow. For the core lesson number 1, This is 30 practice questions. And lesson number 1, excuse me. We're going through my course. This is, I created 30 practice problems, starting with easy level for the first 12, then mid-level for questions 13 to 18, challenge level questions up to number 24, and then a review of the grading questions for the last 6. It's tradition, again, because we have only a 90-minute class, for us to choose half of the 30 problems. So depending on the class, and if we either do the odd problems or the even problems. For these students, since it's lesson number 1, we're going to do the odd problems only today. Odd number questions only from 1 to 30. So if you hang in there, I'll put the slideshow back up. But you should see the link here in the chat window, which I'll place here in just a moment. Okay, so here's the Google form link for 20 minutes independent work for SHSAT classwork number 1. All right, the link is here in the carousel slideshow at the end. So I got to scroll all the way down to the end. Excuse me. Here it is. It's the second link here on the screen. So if you have a touch screen, or if you just have cut and paste, you can take this form, is classwork number 1 to 30 questions, and it should pop up to a new Google form page for you. Okay, so please go to classwork. Here it is. SHSAT classwork number 1. Work only on the odd problems. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, and 29. That's it. And you now have 20 minutes. I'm going to set my timer, and I'll be here sitting at my desk. But, oh, I'm sorry, my video's off because it was getting in the way of the presentation. But hi, I'm still here. Hello. So I'm going to give you guys 20 minutes now to do the SHSAT classwork odd problems only. All right. Can you see me on the screen? Yeah. Okay. All right. So good luck. I'm setting my timer for 20 minutes, and I will see you in 20 minutes. And we'll review just one easy level, 1 minute challenge level problem, which I'll go over as you're working on them now. Okay. So enjoy this free online sample of my SHSAT course. If you'd like, please donate for the development of this course, which I've been working on for 10 years at Venmo, Joshua Wiener 10. Okay, so thank you so much. And please continue now with SHSAT classwork number 1. Good luck. Okay, so hi, this is Josh, and that was 20 minutes of independent practice. So now let's go over a few select problems to wrap up tonight's presentation from 7 to 8:30. I promise that I'll just go over a few problems again that I selected for tonight. Let's look at first at question number 4, and I'll try and show you some shortcuts so you too can solve any one of these problems in less than a minute. For question number 4, it reads, a local deli sells pastrami at $12.99 per pound. How much does 2.5 pounds of pastrami cost? Well, if we estimate and we say that it's $13 is 1 pound, then 2 pounds would be $26. Again, we're just rounding it to nearest dollar. But the other thing that's important is, well, let's do a half pound. You worked at the deli, well, that would be half of 13 or $6.5. So then with this sort of businessman's chart, it's commonly done all the time. We know that a pound is 13, 2 pounds is 26, but we want 2.5. What we would do is we would just look at our clipboard chart. And we'd add these two amounts, 26 plus 6 plus 5, 6.5, and we get a total of, whoops, putting these two together, we'd get $26 plus $6.5 is $32.50. But we rounded up a couple of pennies, so remember that it's going to be close to that, but it's going to be like 2 cents less. So like 32.48 or 47, right? Because we rounded. And if you look at that, lo and behold, it was choice D for question number 4. Okay, so you can save time by using estimation of $13 a pound. For question number 15, let's go to that one next. It says 2 infinite sets are given. Which number belongs to both sets? It's from the set of prime numbers, and it's a number whose digit adds up to 5. So we know that a prime number is a number that is only evenly divisible by 1 in itself. So we know that, for example, 32 is even, it's 2 times 16, is not a prime. That's composite. Similarly, choice B, 50 ends in a 0. 50 is 2 times 25, is not prime. Okay. And so it has to be C, D, or E. But if you look at those choices, look at condition number 2. It has to also have digits that add up to 5. 4 plus 1 equals 5. 8 plus 3 equals 11. And 3 plus 1 equals 4. So if you read carefully, the only answer that follows both conditions is choice C. 41, in fact, is a prime. And the 2 digits add up to 5, and the correct answer was C. How do we know that it's prime? Well, just quickly doing the prime number check. 41 is less than 49, and that's 7 squared. So we have to test the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, but we can sort of stop at 7 because the square root of 41 is less than the square root of 49. We have 1 times 49. It's not divisible by 2 because it doesn't end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. It ends in a 1. It's not divisible by 3 because the digits don't have 2 of the 3 times table. It can't be divisible by 4 or 6 because those are even, right? 2, 4, and 6 are even, and the number ends in a 1. It's 41, right? And it's not 5 either because it doesn't end in a 5 or a 0. So really, you just have to check 3. So we can see here on the other end of the rainbow, there's no number there for the other on the other side. So it fails the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 test. We don't have to go to 7 or 8 because if it's 8, it would have to be like 8 times 5, which is 40, right? So it's a number a little bit bigger than 5. So it doesn't, You don't have to test any number up to 49. So the correct answer is yes, it is a prime, and so it's in set M and it's in set N. The digits add up to 5. Okay, last one for tonight. Number 19. Which of the following can be the sum of exactly 3 consecutive integers? Well, let me put it this way. If we have 3 numbers in a row, like 9, 10, 11, let me call the middle number x. Then the one that comes after it will be x plus 1. And the one that comes before it will be 1 less. So that'll be x minus 1. So then if we add 3 in a row, we're really adding these 3 expressions together. Grouping like terms, we get x plus x plus x is 3x. And negative 1 plus 1 cancels, so plus 0. So whatever the 3 digits are in a row, they have to be on the 3 times table. Okay, and that's because the negative 1 cancels the plus 1. So when we look at the list, we're looking for a number that's a multiple of 3. What numbers pass the divide by 3? The digits have to add up to sum the digits. And we get, for 119, 11. For 121, we get 4. We sum the digits. 1 plus 2 plus 2 is 5. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. And 1 plus 2 plus 4 is 7. Well, the rule was the sum of the digits must be a multiple of 3. That was the shortcut for this exam. So which of those 5 numbers, 11, 4, 5, 6, or 7, is a multiple of 3? Well, you know. Yeah, 6 is on the 3 times table. So therefore, D, 123 is correct. Well, that's amazing. So that means that we have 3 numbers. Let's actually do that math, just to follow up on this. 123 divided by 3, 4 times 3 is 12. Bring down the 3, and 41. That means that 41 is the middle number. Well, the one that comes after that is plus 42, and the one before that is 40. And sure enough, if you add them together, that's 123. So it really does work. So there you have it. Consecutive integers, those are 3 numbers in a row that add up to exactly 123. All right, I'm going to stop for tonight. The time is 8:30. Thank you so much for joining me here. This is a recording on YouTube, and my name is Josh Weiner. Please support this course with anything that you think it's worth, between $1 and $1,000. The average lesson, if you go to tutoring houses, being a long-time test prep tutor, is about $50 per lesson. And I'll give you support materials. If you email me, I'll send you more links and video support links, because I also have support videos for each of the lessons, and also practice tests. I personally have been a tutor for over 15 years in the New York area. I've helped students get into specialized high schools of their choice, receive Catholic school scholarships, as well as college scholarships and graduate school scholarships to medical schools and graduate school math and engineering programs. I've graded regions for the state, and I'm the specialist here down in Brooklyn writing the SAT and SHSAT courses. So thank you for joining me. I am doing this offer as a service to the community, as a student who did grow up in public school, but was fortunate to have parents who were teachers. So I did have a private tutor as well to help me in learning in middle school and high school. So thank you so much for joining me. Finally, other than supporting me with Venmo, remember that all of the links are here for each lesson as I come online each Wednesday night for SHSAT. Tonight is September 13th, and here are the Google form links for which I'll leave active for quiz 1, classwork 1, and homework 1. So if you are watching this recording, you can click or cut and paste those blue form links and try the material yourself. Okay, if you're getting ready for the SHSAT this fall, as a parent of an 8th grade son or daughter, remember that you can as well use these links. I'm offering them again for free by donation, for you. So thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Again, my name is Josh Wiener. I have had a very unusual life, and to make a long story short, I did complete my college degrees from Street Performing Money as a performing juggler and pianist here in the New York City area, and earned a master's degree at Columbia University Teachers College. So thank you so much for joining me. These are the courses that that are still in development that I write for Tribune Houses in Brooklyn. All right, so good night to you, and thanks again. Here are the links. I'll see you next time. Good night from New York City.